Ashe, 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 and Grand Rising. A grand day to you all once again, my very beautiful people, and especially you, my awakened and enlightened people the world over. Oh, yes, 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 yes. You don't know. That is yours truly, I, the mystic philosopher. And as customary, along with some of my recorded chirping bird sounds, and some of my rusty finger-picking guitar playing in the background. And I'm here to share with you some more of my unique and thought-provoking perspectives and insights another time. And yes, my people, it is high time for reason and for reasoning. In fact, as I might add, it is high time for thinking and for reasoning. Now, someone asked the question, why didn't you look with this new fancy looking movie star glasses? No, it has nothing to do with that. I was missing for a few days, as you guys may have noticed, in my regulars, and had some procedures done, so medical procedures, if you will. So I'm required to keep the glare from my eyes. So in fact, I can't be long on this thing here, right? So that's why this fancy glass. But if it look good, let me know. Anyway, the topic that I would like to share some more of my perspective on with you this grand rising is this: how do I get him to commit and marry me? Again, how do I get him to commit and marry me? Now, how did I come about with this topic? Well, a young sister recently wrote to me as an elder, young, and as the mystic philosopher, for what she described as some mature advice and wise counsel. And she asked me this question, and I quote, the mystic philosopher: I have been both childless and single for quite some time now, and the truth be told, I would like to someday soon have children. And I also know that my biological clock is ticking very fast and I am running out of time. She continued, she said, I recently met and is seeing a guy, and we went out on a few dates since. He's a very handsome, well-educated, employed, highly intelligent, graceful, and full of manners. He opens doors for me and even moves chairs for me to sit. I feel very comfortable with him. I feel very comfortable with and around him. Moreover, he treats me very well. He took me to places that I've never been before. He makes me feel feelings that I've never felt before. I feel that he is the man of my dreams. And I feel that I am in love with him, and I would like for him to not only to be the father of my children, but for him to marry me, and so that we may spend the rest of our lives together. How do I get him to commit and marry me? Thanks in advance, and I anxiously await your wise counsel and candid response. Unquote. Now, in answering the question, my young sister, how do I get him to commit and marry me? Meaning, how do you get him to commit and marry you? In fact, for those of you who may have heard me speak on this subject of marriage, and I will be covering it again, giving another perspective on it, because I have a different perspective on this topic or in this thing called marriage. So I'm just responding to the question in what I know to be the commonly understood meaning and definition of marriage in the Western world. So, in answering your question, to answer the first part of the question, because what I did, I break it down into two parts, right? The first part is of the question, or, is this, how do I get him to commit? Because you want him to commit. You're asking, how do you get him to commit? That is one part of the question. The next one, to marry. That is another part of the question. Therefore, I break it up into two parts. So let me answer the first part. How do I get him to commit? I ask that you, my listeners, as I'm about to answer this question, I also ask that you please hit the subscribe button and the notification button or the notification bell to be notified immediately as I upload, or as I will be uploading a subsequent video titled Why Men Are Afraid of Commitment. Remember, the first part of the question is commit, and I will be sharing another perspective on why men are afraid of commitment. So stay tuned. Please hit that button because you don't want to miss that one. If you find this one informative, thought-provoking, I'm sure, can almost assure you that you will find the other one even so, or even more so. So how do you get him to marry you? First, to commit and marry. First, I would like to ask you a few questions. And the first question is this. Number one, is he just as single and as available just like you? Meaning, do you know, not believe, but do you know that he doesn't, have any other woman? Do you know that he's not already married? Do you know that he's not seeing or he's not engaged to any other woman or women? And may I say, with the way things are going now, any other men? Because, I'm seeing so many changes in my life. I've seen so many changes in the past and so many things happening. I'm wondering if I'm here or someplace else. So yes, don't rule out the possibility of any other male or seeing any other females. Because there's a difference between man and woman and male and female. Those who listened to me before heard me speak on and share my perspectives on that. And do you know? And are you sure? Ask this way, do you know and are you sure? The second question is this, because it's one of 7 questions, 7 very important questions I will be asking you before I even start answering that question, your question. Does he see you the same way that you are now seeing him? Meaning, does he find you as intelligent? Does he find you as virtuous? Does he find you as faithful, as trusting, or as trustworthy and reliable, etc., etc., as you find him? Does he? And are you sure? Question number 3. Is your assessment of him the same as his assessment of you? Question number 4. Does he think of you the same way that you are now thinking of him? Now, question number 5. Does he truly value you the way that you value him? Question number 6. Does he see value in you the same way that you see value in him? And final question for now, question 7. Does he speak of you the way that you speak of him? And if the answer to all these my 7 questions is in the affirmative, meaning is yes, 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 7 yeses, then the simple answer to your question, my dear beloved sister, how do I get him to marry me, commit and marry me, is simple. Just look him straight in his eyes, and ask him this question. Listen to the question carefully now. And don't blink. Will you marry me now? And please don't take your eyes off him until he answer you, or until you watch him start to buck shuffle. Buck shuffle is a term we use again. Because maybe the question shock him, and that's when you gotta know the truth. So don't take your eye off him. Don't blink. Don't be distracted. Right? Watch him until him buck shuffle, or until he get up and run like when a thief is running away from the police. A thief is caught stealing and he began to run away from the police. And the question is, why marry me now, you may ask? I'm sure you might be asking, why marry me now? And not just why will you marry me? No. Listen carefully. It is because if the operative word here now is if he is a player in disguise, he might say yes. Remember, the players are the most smart people, No one have style and grace and intelligence and behavior, right behavior, impressive mannerism like a player. He knows the game. That's why he's called a player. He knows the intricacies of the game. But you want to find out because it's your future and your life is at stake. Right? So it is because if he is a player in disguise, he might say yes. Yeah, it's easy to say yes. He might even go as far as to buy you an engagement ring and set a future marriage date or a future date for marriage. And guess what happened? This is how the player play now. He might even set a date between 1 to 10 years from the moment you ask him. 1 to 10 years from now, which by then your biological clock, which you made mention of, will have run out on you. You don't have 1 to 10 years to be messing around and to be, to waste. Or possible, as the saying goes, to be used. And, And by then, he knows, he can promise you between 1 to 10 years, by then he knows that he will not have any more use for you. And possible any more use for anyone else. And that he knows that he will be on to his next project. In other words, you won't have any news for anyone else because after 10 years, must regretfully inform you that the value you had 10 years ago in terms of nature will, you know what I talk about. So because now people are so, the truth brings so much offense now. Anyway, you figure that out, what I'm talking about. Right? And by then he will be on to his next project, his next victim or his next woman. In fact, and better yet, don't ask him to marry you, but just tell him. There's a difference between asking and telling him. Just tell him to marry you. Remember, if the answers to all of aforementioned 7 questions is yes, then you shouldn't have a problem with this. And he wouldn't have a problem with you telling him to marry you. Unless he's a player. Because, as the saying goes, great minds think alike, though fools seldom differ. Because if he's thinking like you, you tell him, look, marry me. Now, from the mystic philosopher's perspective, the thing called marriage is a business. Regardless of what you may hear. But from the mystic philosopher's perspective, and I've dealt with this elsewhere, the thing called marriage is a business. In fact, it is a cooperation, and a very serious business or a very serious cooperation at that. And it should not be treated any less than how you would treat a successful business or a successful corporation. Because that's why you're in business. It's a business to be successful at it. But I've dealt with that elsewhere, and we'll touch on that again. If you have any question on why I say this, please feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to share another perspective on this. Secondly, I, the mystic philosopher, don't, and for the lack of a better word, I don't believe in this thing called dating. Nope. And especially indefinite dating. Dating in which there is no time limit. And one in which especially one in which sexual activity is involved or is permitted. I don't really believe in that. I use the word believe for the lack of a better word here, because I don't want to, my intention to get too deep into certain words here and stray away from answering her question. And I must confess that even though I was not taught and did not learn, and nor did I abide by this principle that I later taught two of my own daughters, that I have personally raised, because the culture in which I was raised taught me that a girl can do what a boy can do and still remain a lady. Heard that. I mean, it's semi-old school, so let me be a grade up. Things change now. Anyway. So from experience, I later taught two of my daughters that this thing called sex, aka love, also known as love, is not something that they should give away free samples. You see, I learned all these things, you figure it out. Be it in dating or whatever. Dating, from my domestic philosopher's perspective, is both wasting and gambling with your most limited and precious gift and resources. And what is that? Your most precious gift and resource, or resources, is the thing called what? Time. The thing called time is the only thing that, regardless of how well you manage it, or how well you invest it, you can never get it back. You can never get back time with time. Once it is gone from your time bank, we all have a time bank. Mine is clicking right now. Yes. Once it is gone forever. Once it is gone out of your time bank account, it is gone what? Forever. Time is among the four things that we can never get back. Time. Never get it back. So when you spend X amount of years talking about dating, as you shall shortly see, it's gambling, or you're wasting your time. As the song goes, marry me now, or if not, it's now or never. Now, and that is the thing that most people have already run out of, and most young people today, because of ignorance, are running out of right as I'm speaking to you. And as you, my listeners, are listening, we all are running out of time. You can't make up for yesterday. You cannot eat yesterday's dinner today. You know the thing I call time. That's another whole subject I would like to elaborate on. I will be elaborating on again and some more future talks. A lot of you, my listeners, have already run out of time and is currently running out of time. And the next thing you know, guess what? Too late catch you, or too late catch them, too late catch us. All of us, I think, to some degree, are suffering from a deficiency in time. From my domestic philosopher's perspective, if you find somebody that possesses the same virtues and characteristics like you, that you think you can do business with, then go ahead and do business and be serious about the business. For example, the time most people spend so-called dating is the time that they should be reaping profits and benefits from their business. For example, why do people date? They will tell you that it is to get to know the person or to get to know their partner. How long does it take you, if you are of sound mind and activated common sense, to know if someone is right for you to do business with? If they're right, if they're qualified to do business with. If it can play a part in your business, or to be a business partner. Some may say 3 to 5 years. Then what if after 3 to 5 years, you then realize that he or she is not right for you? Then you will have to start all over again with a very limited, even more limited amount of resources, meaning a very limited amount of time left in your time bank. Plus your overall market value would have significantly depreciated. You don't, regrettably, I can't nature, you don't appreciate over time. No, not really. You don't. Maybe in wisdom, but that's another subject. For example, if you are a man or a woman that is 30 years old and you meet and date somebody for 5 years, then only to find out that he or she is not the one for you. Then regardless of how well you may think of yourself, because we think of ourselves sometimes in reality we overvalue ourselves in terms of certain, what they would say, context. Some of us overvalue ourselves, and that's why some people remain on the shelf and never get sold. Yes, regardless of how well you may think of yourself, you just can't honestly market yourself as a 30-year-old and as brand new anymore. 5 years gone, yeah, done 5 years. I just said the thing said. Realistically, by their nature and gravity, would have worked rather their unforgiving magic and show us the truth, both in the mirror and members of our body. When members of our body tend to, instead of going north, it's not up north anymore. Gravity of our dangerous singing on nature. You start to go south. Let me get back serious here. In other words, like a fading flower, with time, our physical beauty fades with age. Over time. I just saw the thing said. No wonder in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, it is written that young men, young women, I call upon you because you're strong. From my perspective, from my mystic philosopher's perspective, if you know what you're looking for, then you will know if or when you find it. If you are a woman and you think that the man you are dating is the one that you would like to do business with, then don't wait for him to ask you to marry him. Just ask him, and better yet, tell him to marry you. And when? Right now. From the mystic philosopher's perspective, a man giving you a ring don't mean a damn thing. Rhyme that. A man giving you a ring don't mean a damn thing. I can make a song of that, I should. Just rang in my head. A man giving you a ring, we don't want to call it engagement, or it don't really mean, realistically, it don't really mean that. See, I think. If you notice a ring, if you take note, you notice a ring is a complete cycle or circle. And it could also signify in his mind that he's encircling you. Yeah, but take ownership of you and put borders around you in order to lay claim on you, so that all other possible interested and potential business partner will what? Will keep out and must keep out, because you see, she's engaged. She have a ring. It is like a man capturing a piece of capture land and putting a fence or putting some barbed wire around it. The capturer has no legal obligation to anyone or to take care of it. She has no legal obligation to that land to take care of it. You just fence it around. Right? He has no legal obligation whatsoever to maintain it, even to protect it, or to keep up with its maintenance. He have no legal obligation to protect that piece of land. Legal obligation under the system's law. He has no legal obligation to pay taxes to the government for it. You just capture it. You name it. All he does is to what? Lay claim to it. That is what a ring does to one who is engaged. If there is no time set, right? The shorter the time, the better it is, I think. So, think about these things, my dear beloved sister. Ask him, and if him, don't waste 3 to 5 years, and then by then or 10 years and your clock run out. Deal with the matter now. It's now or never. Because once him fence you around, you're going to end up like many of our sisters and many females in society today, in the world today, that regardless of all the makeup they may put on, 10, 15, 20 years gone out of your life, you ain't shining like that flower before. You don't have that luster you had then, because nature gives us a time. All of us, look at me. If you look on the same YouTube here, you'll see pictures of me when my hair was black. Yeah, man. Time, I'm on serious thing. So, that is it for this Grand Rising for today. And in the meantime and between time, please hit the subscribe button along with the bell right now. And stay tuned for my next video upload titled, Why Some Men, if not all men, are afraid of the words commit and commitment. My dear beloved people, thanks again for listening. Thanks for watching. And I do hope that I was able to again provoke you to see and to think of things a little differently. In the meantime and between time, please hold it up, not down. Be more, not bless. Be more and much, much more. For I am the mystic philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.